1 2 1 2. I go by the name of DJ What, and you're now listening to the original Jeek Podcast. Let's go.
Ready to make an entrance, so backward cut. Come on, cut for me.
Oh yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
Fresh.
Yeah, making me itch.
What up, Jeeks? My name is RockinMrMagic. I am the original Jeek, and you are listening to the original Jeek Podcast. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Today on the show, we are going to talk some Hall of Fame 2024. We're going to talk some X-Men 97. We're going to talk about cons and organizing and some of the behind the scenes stuff and putting a con together. But first, I want to welcome back the homie, the author, the friend, the savant, the one and only Greg Burnham.
What's going on?
What it do, boy?
How you doing?
You know me, fam, doing what I do like I'm doing it for TV. And we're going to start the show right with the jump off because y'all know my man G. He's been here many times. What are you playing? What are you watching? What are you creating right now, homie?
Ooh, playing? I can't say that yet.
Okay.
That's going to be another show. Honestly, I've been, because I'm doing so many things, it's like I just be trying to find, stuff I can play just for a little while, just to take my, refresh my mind.
Yeah.
Gonna sound weird, but I started playing GTA 5 again, story mode.
Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that. It was fun.
Yeah, because I was like, I never did the one where you save the assassination missions until after. So you
so you get all that, make all that money. Yeah.
So we went ahead and killed Trevor and Michael.
Oh, you killed Trevor?
On this one, yeah.
Okay, so you've done where you save everybody, right?
Yeah, I've played that game. I mean, it's 30 years old now. I've done that. I did it where I killed both of them before. But if you kill Michael, like if you kill Trevor, then you got you and Franklin and Michael get to, split that money that Trevor would have got.
Right.
But if you kill Michael, his family gets the money.
Right.
So it's like, less money circulating. So I was like, yeah, let me just go ahead and, kill Trevor this time. So yeah, but Michael and Franklin are both billionaires, and I let Franklin because it's a black man, so I let him buy up, most of this stuff.
I just wish you could buy it all. Like I don't want one character should be able to get all the property. Why only some properties everybody can buy, the other ones can't buy. The ones that's goofy to me.
Yeah. I don't think I never had the money because the golf course is crazy expensive.
Yeah, it is.
But I bought the golf course, so I had Franklin, out there playing in his draws. Because I feel like a black man owning.
Hey, this is my course.
It's like all the, oppression and harassment. So, yeah, kind of sticking it to the man.
Right? Hey, it's his links. He can do what he wants.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, that when I'm watching X-Men, of course. I finished 3 Body Problem.
Okay.
I need to spin the block on that. I'd be at the movies
yeah, you be at the movies
every other day.
Like I am so envious of the amount of time that you get to go to the movies. Like it's not even funny.
Yeah. So what's the most recently I saw that Civil War movie. I thought it was dope. There's some people that are complaining about it. I'm not one of those people.
Okay.
But it was because, the movie's called Civil War, but I think the Civil War thing was kind of like the backdrop for what the real like meaning of the movie and what the story that they were trying to tell.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna say anything because it's just in case anybody wants to see it.
Let me ask you real quick. Talking movies, were you able to go see the movie we talked about before in theater and
the
and
American Negroes?
Yes, Society.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me your non-spoiler thoughts on the film, because I've seen so much on the internet that I'm like, and like we said on the episode, some people are going to be disappointed because they're expecting Black Harry Potter, and we knew it wasn't going to be that. But your thoughts, non-spoiler, of Society of Magical Negroes.
And I'm glad because I found a dude on TikTok that saw like exactly what I saw. So number one, like a lot of the fuss, the hootenanny was dumb. I don't want to say dumb. That's very basic. It was misguided.
Okay.
But you know how it is when they pull out the pitchforks.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta set the fire, right? So it was mild. Like I feel like they didn't really want to take a lot of chances, so it was kind of milder than what it could have been.
Okay.
I think that the guy Kobe Libby, I think is his name. I don't know if I hope I pronounced that correctly, but I think he was telling a story like of what he's been through. He's a biracial dude.
Okay.
So I feel like that story, me, having, like biracial nieces, I can look at, different sides and a lot of friends as well. So I think that it was coming from a unique point of view. Like that's not mine,
Mm-hmm.
but his. But I still saw it. I still understood the points that he was trying to make. Some of that stuff about, like a lot of people were upset because, white woman,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. She's like ethnic as well.
She's like half Japanese or something.
Yeah, something like that. And it's and it's portrayed in a movie. It's not like how sometimes they take people and just make them white.
Yeah.
When they're not. So no, it was. There was some like genuine funny moments. The cast was good. The acting was pretty good.
Okay.
But yeah, like I'm like people have been asking me, like online, did you see it? What did you think? And it's like I don't even want to get into arguments. Because first off, it's okay if you don't want to see it. It's like that for any movie, right? Like if they made Goonies Part 2, I might be like, I don't know, man. Because how much I love.
They're a little old now. I mean, I like Goonies.
Right. So like I get it if you don't want to see it, but this audacity we have as people in this day and age to feel like we can critique works of art without even looking or like participating, so you don't understand. So it's like one of my friends was like, that's triggering that he would throw everything away so he can chase a white woman. I was like, number one, that's not what happened. Number two, like what? So you can't watch an NBA game at all.
Yeah, facts. Facts. You ain't wrong about that. No, well, I mean, and I understand them having that mindset or that thought, because from the two trailers, it was the first, it made it look like it was Black Potter, and the second one, it made him look like he was throwing away to try to get with this white girl. I mean, that's what the ad made it look like. So I get not wanting to see it based upon that. Mm-hmm. And that's the film and that's the film people's fault of not giving trailers that made the film show like what it is.
But it also came, like, after watching it, I understand why, because you could see they weren't trying to like go out of their way to really offend anybody. You know what I'm saying? So it was like they probably were trying to figure out like how the hell do we, get people excited for this movie, Like me, when I saw that, like, and we said this before, when I saw the title, having full understanding of what a magical Negro is in Hollywood, I started laughing. I saw David Allen Greer was in it. I was like, okay, I'll give him a chance because, been rocking with that man for 30 plus years, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, and I never seen him do anything that was like, crazy embarrassing to my people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's so funny because me and this guy, one of my friends online, he was talking about how he hated that Civil War movie, and he was like, the only person that that had sense and made sense was the black dude. And I was like, and me and him, we had talked about this magical Negro thing, and I was like, haha. And he was 100% a magical Negro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? In the Civil War movie. So, I feel like if, like I said before, man, the type of stuff we watch, you know what I'm saying? Hollywood Shuffle is like I love the movie, but it's not like one of my top movies, but it's one of the most important movies to me as a creator, that helped to mold and shape and have me always like smelling myself like, hey, nah, don't do that. So
shout out to Robert Townsend for Hollywood Shuffle.
Sir. And, Bamboozled and Drop Squad and like all these satirical movies that, we grew up, Brother from Another Planet, like all these, like
Pick Up to Joe Morton for Brother from Another Planet. Classic.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say like when it comes to streaming, which it'll probably do tomorrow.
Yo, it would, because it was not in theaters long.
Now check it out though.
Because that joint came out on my birthday, which was less than a month ago, and that thing is in and out of theaters.
Yeah. Now I saw it twice, but I see a lot of movies 2 times because the first time it's like I'm trying to soak up like how I feel without being
too analytical.
Yeah. And then the next time I come in there with my mental notepad, and if I go on the right time, I pull out my phone and be taking notes because ain't nobody in there.
Yeah.
But the first night, the theater we went to, I would say it was maybe like 40% full. It was a nice amount of people in there. And people were laughing and, but again, they were probably people that hadn't been subjected to all the negative, like propaganda behind it. So, but yeah, when it comes on streaming, man, I would say give it a shot. It was, like I said, I was expecting it to be, for them to like dig in, and they didn't really dig in. But I think overall, I got to understand the meaning of what the movie was, and it's definitely not black man leaves his magical,
Black man doesn't abandon his blackness to be with white women.
Nah, it's like in the beginning, he's struggling with his identity. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't, he ain't giving off like hardcore brother vibes from jump. But he's also, I can say this without, I don't think this is spoiling. He's also like, he's very timid, and he's been conditioned to make white people feel comfortable, which a lot of us, I ain't gonna say that, almost, that's what respectability politics is, right? It's like,
the heart of the negative aspect of, the difference between being respectable and respectability politics. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the stuff that we know, because we pay attention, that, our grandmothers and great grandmothers, they knew that if they wore their hair this kind of way, they're probably not going to get a job. And if you have to speak proper, and like all those things that were driven into the majority of our heads, you know what I'm saying? And we have to deconstruct that ourselves, right? Or else it just sticks.
The reason why my name is my name is because of that.
Right. So it's like when you look, when I was, looking at it from that angle, it's like, oh, I know I could sum it up in 3 sentences, and it actually, it's kind of like a redemptive, like there's a redeeming quality to the story. But again, it's too late now.
I feel that. Well, I appreciate the non-spoiler, unexpected, not planned review of that. I can't wait till I watch it so that we can really go into it.
Yeah. I would love to then come back and.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back because there's a couple of movies that we need to chop it up about because I need to see Book of Clarence. We need to chop it up about Book of Clarence. And there's another one now. It just escaped my mind, but there's a couple movies out there that we need to chop it up about.
All right.
So we're gonna jump into our quick hits here. We're gonna go with the flow here. So back in January, we talked about the Hall of Fame nominees, and one nominee that we both said should get in and did get in. Congratulations to the one and only Simone Augustus. Well deserved. Very well deserved.
I script for that one. I like people don't understand how much I love Simone. The thing I like, one of her best qualities to me was like her IQ and her understanding of when to do what, and like those little intangible things that like I see. Like last night, just thinking about like what the Heat was doing to the Sixers, and me and my boys were in the chat, and everybody's offering their opinions on what's happening. And I'm like that zone could be broken in 2 passes. 2 things would need to happen, but it's not about them not being able to. He's messing with their brains and their tendencies, and their tendencies are that analytic crap. But anyways, Simone, yes.
Yes, Simone, very well deserved. But the main part we're going to talk about is 2 people got in that there's some debate about. There's some controversy, just a little bit around. Vince Carter is now officially a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame, as is Chauncey Billups. Now, anyone listening should know, I'm probably the one in the top 1% of biggest Detroit Piston fans walking the face of this earth. I wear Detroit Pistons gear in downtown Philadelphia when my Pistons are in town. I wore it in Boston, where we are still hated, in Chicago, where we are still hated, and I wear it where my enemies are, boldly, proudly. I am a unabashed Piston fan, and to the point where the pride of my objectivity at times goes out the door because I love my Pistons so much. But I cannot abandon my objectivity for Chauncey Billups. As much as I love Chauncey, as vital as he was to that 2004 championship, deservedly winning Finals MVP, that man should not be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Vince, I understand Vince. Even though his NBA numbers and accolades are kind of mid, the success that he had in college, as well as his Olympic success, give him, in my opinion, enough of a cachet to get a Hall of Fame nod. I wouldn't have made him first ballot personally, but he has enough to be in. Chauncey ain't got that. His Colorado career was good, but it wasn't that. I don't believe he has any international wins of any note And then there's just the one NBA championship and a couple All-Star appearances, a couple All NBA defensive teams.
Yeah.
It's not like he's without any accolades, but my thing is, can I tell the story of basketball? And if I leave you out, I can't tell the story. I can tell the story of basketball without Chauncey Billups. Now, if we're talking about the Detroit Pistons, the history of the Pistons and the success and glory of the Pistons, then no, I can't leave out Chauncey Billups. I mean, a key to 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals appearances, 2 NBA Finals appearances in a row, 1 championship. I can't leave that guy out. If they want to retire that guy's number, if they haven't already, there's no qualms about it. I'm completely for that. That's Detroit Piston basketball history. That is not high school, college, international, NBA professional history. I can't do it. He shouldn't be there.
Yeah. So the first thing I'll say with Vince, my thing with Vince is quick. If you take his first 10 NBA seasons and then say Vince retire, then he would be a Hall of Famer. It would be easy because his numbers are there. Especially when you consider the other people, some of these other people that are in.
He was 25, 6, and 3 a night. Yeah.
He was like so, and then you look at his impact on the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know highlights aren't everything, but I mean, he was on SportsCenter every night. Like he was electric. So Vince, I didn't really have a doubt, and I saw because he was here in Atlanta for a minute.
Yeah,
and that was at the time where I was basically able to go to any game for free, and I was able to sit close. And I watched the times like when the assistant, I can't remember the coach's name, the assistant coach snapped on Cam Reddish and really embarrassed him. And I was sitting almost on the floor, and I watched Cam come over and look like he's gonna cry, and Vince was there, and a lot of people don't talk about his impact on them youngins, what I'm saying?
All these Canadian kids that are all of a sudden good at basketball are all kids who grew up watching and wanting to be Vince Carter.
But I'm saying those years where he was, bouncing from team to team.
Yeah.
He's teaching these kids how to be professionals. And I was at them games, man, in warm-ups, this dude was still doing crazy stuff. He still could play. They had him playing power forward a lot, He's, so Vince, I love Chauncey, except for that one year when they cheated and beat the Lakers. But I love everything about Chauncey, man. He was clutch. You all right, man?
You're trying to kill me with that.
I'm sorry. But he was clutch, except for when Kobe was locking him up.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great team guy. And I think that he got a raw deal in Boston.
He did. The fact that Pitino gave up on him after one season in Boston made 0 sense.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember? I don't know if you remember. I distinctly remember opening night, the 96-97 season, Bulls in Boston. Mike is wearing the Cherry 12s, and the Celtics have, Twan is doing his thing, and they're talking about all these young guys. Pitino's back in the NBA. Chauncey Billups, rookie Chauncey Billups and them beat the defending champions on opening night on national TV. I will never forget that game. It was a close game. Twan did his thing. Chauncey had an impact. He made some young rookie mistakes and stuff. But him, Mercer, Twan, I thought that Celtics team was going to be the future of the Eastern Conference.
And if they had a real coach, they would have been. Because you keep Chauncey, but yeah, And I was Team Chauncey because I just you know how you discover players and you have to put everybody on to them.
Yep.
That was me when he was at Colorado. I thought he was cold, man.
He was cold.
And so D Wade is another guy that I discovered. Like I'm a GM or something. But
I discovered him before you because I met him at 5-star. But
okay. No, I feel you.
But I'm the same way. I was telling Cats about Wade before he blew up that junior year at Marquette. I was like, look, y'all don't know about this. You don't know about this dude Wade, man. This guy Chicago. Y'all don't know about this guy. Yeah, his knee. Oh, the guy I heard about. He's got bad knees. Yeah, but when those knees are working, I'm telling you,
clean. So yeah. But Chauncey is he's a little bit difficult, and this is why. And I don't like this guy I'm about to say, but Reggie Miller, like, when he got into the Hall of Fame, I'm not gonna lie, I was flabbergasted.
Well, see, I understood why Reggie got in.
I understand why they put him in, but he's not a Hall of Fame. Like he's Del Curry with more shot attempts, man. He's like.
No, come on now. Del was never the man on his team.
No, I know. Reggie wasn't either.
Oh, come on. Reggie was the man, and you knew he was the man.
When? Because
the majority of his tenure with the Pacers, he was that guy for that team.
For the Pacers, with the Pacers, Reggie Miller?
Yes, he was that guy for that team.
Do you remember Chuck Person?
I remember the Rifleman. I love the Rifle. Hey, look, I have a list of. Come on, G. I have a list of players that would terrorize the NBA if they were playing now, and the Rifleman is one of them dudes.
But check it out. Chuck was carrying just like a bigger load than Reggie, scoring wise.
That was early. Now, but when they were good and they were making the playoffs, team was Reggie Miller, Haywood Workman, Mark Jackson, Rick Smits, Derek McKee, the Davis boys. I love Derek McKee too. I think I said Haywood Workman off the bench. Like that was, and the man that was carrying them, especially offensively, was Reggie Miller. And the man making the magic happen, making those magical moments happen in the Garden, pushing.
Yeah,
he was hitting the big shots. That was Reggie. He was the guy on that team. Now, was he the guy the way Mike was? No, because nobody was.
He couldn't dribble. He couldn't defend.
All right, hold on. That just because he didn't have the handle doesn't mean he wasn't effective. He did his job. He did his job. Hey, Mark Jackson's job was to dribble and give him the ball. Reggie's job was to shoot and make the shot.
Reggie had a nice little step back. Don't get me wrong.
He did have a nice step back, except for the fact when he would kick his leg out and they'd call a foul on that. That pissed me off.
But he was running around a lot. I feel like their best team. Jalen led the team in scoring, slightly over Reggie. Chris Mullin was coming off the bench. Like,
I mean, they should have beat the Bulls in '98. They should have beat them.
Here's my criteria for a Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And there's levels, right? Because there's role players. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite players ever that also got into the Hall of Fame this year. So there's levels to it. But if we're going to say Reggie was like the man, that means I can put him on any team. Like I could put him on a team full of, like scrubs, and he's still going to impact winning. And I don't think Reggie would have impacted winning. Like if he didn't, like, man, that team, the best team they had, that 98 team, they had two of everything.
No, that 98 team, and the fact that they can come back in 99 and win is a crime. That 98 team was really, really good.
Yeah,
but I'm talking the 94 team was solid, but they overachieved.
Yeah,
Larry Brown, solid but overachieved. They didn't even have Mark Jackson then.
So they had
freaking Pooh Richardson coming off. Pooh Richardson, like
Pooh was no, okay. I'm not
I like Pooh, but come on, we talking about Pooh now. Yeah, come on now. Pooh didn't really have much impact in the league. Good player, but he didn't have that 94 squad. they overachieved.
I'm not gonna lie. I liked them when they had Chuck Person, but they were young and they was gunning him. And
Oh yeah.
But
Again, Reggie has the college career to bolster him, and Reggie has the Olympic and the international play to bolster him. That bolsters his resume.
So I'm saying,
remember, G, this is a basketball Hall of Fame. It's not an NBA Hall of Fame. And I love him. I love Chris Broussard to death. And it's crazy because of the two of him and Rob Parker, I like Broussard a whole lot more than I like Rob Parker. But I have to agree with Rob Parker on the fact that it's a basketball Hall of Fame, where Broussard generally looks at it as it treats it like an NBA Hall of Fame, but it's not. It is high school, college, international, pro. And for Reggie Miller, he's got accolades near the top for 3 of those 4.
So let me ask.
Because unfortunately, his sister was overshadowing him when it came to the high school.
That's true. Let me ask, though.
Okay.
Comes back to my point. You got a draft. You got a brand new team, and you got to decide: do you want Chauncey or do you want Reggie?
I would take Reggie over. I would take Reggie over Chauncey. As much as I love Chauncey, I would take Reggie over Chauncey. I would.
Okay, I would take Chauncey. Because Chauncey's clutch, but he also defends. He also plays real basketball. So that's my whole thing. Is like if Reggie gets in and then he don't even have a ring, like.
Not having a ring.
No, I know
absolutely, but like here. Okay, so here's the thing. Let me put it to you this way. Okay, Reggie is from the '87 draft class. Okay, so from the '87 draft, I want to know who you're picking over Reggie from that draft outside of the 2 names that are clearly obvious, and that is David Robinson, number 1 pick. Clearly, that's not changing. And then Scottie Pippen, number 5. No one's picking Reggie over him. But are you telling me if you have to redraft that you're picking, his teammate, Derek McKee, you're not picking Derek McKee over him. You're not picking
Derek McKee had to guard all the people that Reggie couldn't guard.
I watched it. I know. You will never hear me talk about the defensive prowess of Reggie Miller. You never will. But you're not picking Derek McKee over him. You're not picking Olden Polynice over him. You're not picking Reggie Williams over him. You're not picking Kenny Smith, Muggsy Bogues, Armin Gillum. You're definitely not picking even Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson is, as much as I love him, you're not picking him. You're not picking, as good as he was, you're not picking KJ over Reggie. Though Mark Jackson, KJ, you can make an argument depending upon your basketball style philosophy, and if you push point guard play over a very shooting guard, but
I would pick KJ over him.
KJ's that's why I said he's a maybe. KJ's a maybe, but I probably personally, as much as I love KJ, I probably would still go with Reggie, because of you, especially at that time. Shooters weren't 6. Knockdown shooters weren't 6'7".
Yeah, that's true.
He was an anomaly in that. Your shooter guys were always the smaller guys. You 6'7" dude that had range like that. And you're not picking any. You're not Vincent Askew. Come on, in that draft, Ken Norman. Some cats in this draft I'm looking at now I ain't even heard of.
Well, back then, you did all you had to do.
We're talking back in the 7 round days.
Right,
like there's a bunch of players in. Billy Donovan was drafted in this class. Like, come on, man. Okay. Come on.
Well. Anyways, I think because they lowered the bar a bit. It's weird. It's the same thing with Ben Wallace. I don't think he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm happy. I was happy that he got in. Does that make sense?
Ben Wallace to me is like Vince, the teetering, because the guy won 4 Defensive Player of the Years, multiple time All-Star, multiple time All-Team defensive teams. you have to put him on because he made history, and also the impact that he had, like Vince, impacting kids in Canada. Ben made it cool, made defense cool in the league again. When the league, especially when the league was starting to transition out of defense, the NBA did not want anybody caring about defense, and Ben made you still care about defense.
My thing about the like DPOY, right?
Yeah.
Is like when it started, when they first, I can't remember what year, if it was like 82, 83, whatever.
19, if my memory serves me correctly, it was the very first recipient was Sidney Moncrief, and I believe the year was 1984, 1985.
Okay. So when it started, it was guard. It was Moncrief, it was Michael Cooper, it was Jordan, and then they started realizing. So when you look at Ben Simmons' numbers,
I stand correct. I'm sorry, 1983.
Okay, I said Ben Simmons. When you look at Ben Wallace's numbers, and then you look at like Mark Eaton's numbers, like once they started giving it to the big men, they never really relinquished it. You know, it's been a big man award pretty much ever since.
But see, but you say that. I mean, it was a mix because Sidney won the first two, 83 and 84, but 85 was Mark Eaton. 86 was Alvin Robertson.
Guard.
87 Cooper. 88 Jordan. 89 Mark Eaton.
And then it was
90 was Rodman, and then 91 was Rodman again, and then Admiral, Dream, Dikembe, GP.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's
Dikembe, Zozo, Dikembe, Ben.
But it was mostly, it's, you know, they transitioned it. You know, they was looking at steals in the beginning, you know. Then they transitioned it to, you know, it's the big man thing. So the philosophy that they had, you know, in the 90s, 2000s, Mark Eaton would have won Defensive Player of the Year every year. And he was partly just because of his size.
He's so big.
But he, like, that's one of the, like, you know how certain people stand out? So you can say such and such is a great defensive big man, but like Mark Eaton, like
I think I get what you're saying. So like the way they talk about Gobert now, Mark Eaton was much better in my opinion than Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert is like a weak side shot blocker.
Right, he's not a straight up shot blocker.
Yeah,
right.
Mark Eaton, you ain't getting none, dog.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just try something else, player. This ain't gonna work. You know.
And if you were gonna get something like the couple times Mike got him or whatever, you had to be a Skywalker to get it on, because that dude was 7'4". He jumped.
Legs like cement.
Yeah, legs like cement. You know, heavy, thick as tree trunks. Like that was a man.
Yeah.
You know, that was like, you know, Goliath's baby brother. Like that was a big, big man.
So that's why I say like the Defensive Players of the Year, like the vote, like awards that get voted on, not to say I don't count them, but we see all kinds of stuff, you know, like we've seen MVPs where you're like, really, dog? You know what I mean? So
there's always the questionable ones here and there. Yeah. I mean, I still question one of Duncan's because I believe it should have gone to J. Kidd.
Jason Kidd has no Defensive Player of the Years, right? Kobe has none. Like some of these guys that were like Drew Holiday, in my opinion, is
should have had one.
He's starting to kind of tailor off now. He's getting older.
But he's older now, yeah.
Like I say, for like 10 years, man. Like he's the guy when I'm coaching kids, like perimeter players. This is what we're watching.
Yeah, that's how you play defense. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he to me, because of his defense and the fact that he's actually, when you consider, you know, like his defense is Tony Allen level, you know, like Michael Cooper level. His defense is amazing.
Oh yeah.
But he also can score.
He can score, yeah.
Always scored. So he's a guy, it'll be interesting to see when his time, you know, is up. Are they going to? He's got a ring.
One time All-Star. No DPOIs. A lot of team selections. But no, I mean, I get it. Because like I said, the MVP, DPOI, there are some that it's should have really gone to that guy. Most of the time, it makes sense. Some of the head scratchers were Marcus Saul. That 1 year where it looked like it probably should have been Braun. There's always been a couple head scratchers here and there.
Scottie Pippen has no defensive player of the year.
No, he does not. No, but then again, as great as Scottie was defensively, I can't say that he was especially during his prime, which would be 90 to 99, Scottie's prime. I can't say Scottie was a better defender than Rodman those first 2 years.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying.
Especially or even over Dikembe. If Scottie was going to get it, it would have had to been for 96, the year GP got it. Because Dikembe was pushing the Hawks and the Nuggets to the playoffs purely off of defense. Yep. There was no way you couldn't give it to him.
But it's just, the point is it's just crazy because it's hard for me to, Scottie's another one. That's who I modeled my defense after. Scottie was he's one of the best defensive players to ever do it. So that's why I said the voted on awards, they do mean something, but it's just now Drew Holiday, Rudy Gobert, who's the better defender? It's not even close in my opinion.
No, I concur. I mean, if you asked me who am I putting together, if I had to pick 5 people for defense, Rudy Gobert is not one of the people I'm picking. Even today, he's not the guy I'm picking, because he can block off a weak side help defense. Yes, he's long. I mean, I get it. I mean, honestly, this is part of the problem with Gobert is because I don't want to sound like I'm completely trashing the guy because I'm not. I do respect the guy, but part of it is the era he plays in. He's not playing against other bigs his height, his stature. He's not playing Admiral had to compete with Dikembe, Zoe, Shaq, Hakeem, Ewing. Some of Mark Eaton, Rick Smits, everybody had a 7-footer or 2. And people forget about, Murasan being 7'7" out there in that time frame. You had big boys everywhere that you had to compete against. Gobert's dealing with 6'9" Clint Capella.
Right.
He's a whole, Draymond at 6'9". You're dealing with a whole lot of undersized.
You got two or three guys that you gotta really be, oh shit, I gotta really play tonight. Right.
And the other big guys, the other guys that are tall today, Jokic, Kat, they're out at the 3-point line. Right. None of them are in the trenches doing any dirty work.
Right.
So it's who are you really competing against to even get these awards?
And how does your defense impact? I always go back to how does your defense impact winning? But that's that trained.
But that's something. Here's the thing though. That's where guys like you and I, who depend upon more than analytics, we look at the eye test and the impact and the intangibles. That's something that analytics can't tell you. Analytics can't tell you how your defense impacted the game because Dennis Rodman was never a blocks leader. He wasn't a steals leader, but he was just the best defender on the court because he could guard 1 through 5,
making people quit.
Right. Yeah. And he's the only player I've ever seen that could legitimately guard every position.
Everybody.
Nobody and no one else in the history of the game has that claim.
Yeah.
But Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I can't think of people
say that about LeBron, but it's garbage.
Nah, I've never seen him. He don't even guard centers.
No,
and I might need him to guard a center on Saturday. But
if the center is Clint Capella, is he really guarding anybody?
Right. people have tried to say that about Scotty. Scotty wasn't even dealing with fours very often.
He wasn't dealing with fours. He wasn't dealing with fives. Scotty guarded 1 through 3, and he did it great. And he maybe switched off on the occasional 4, but he wasn't checking Malone.
No.
He wasn't checking Barkley. He wasn't checking those dudes like that.
So how do you feel about Michael Cooper getting in?
I feel the same. Cooper. I don't think Michael Cooper. I get it. I think it's a legacy thing. One, he's not obviously he's been in the ballot forever. I get him getting it's tough because one, to me, if you're in the Hall, I don't think Cooper has a career. I think he had a nice NBA career. He was never the guy on his team. I'll give something like Chauncey for a while was the guy. He was the best player on his team.
He was
or I shouldn't say best. He was the most important player on his team. But it wasn't like he was so much above the rest of the squad, because Ben was vital, she was vital, Rip was vital, everybody was vital, but he was just a little bit more because he was the point guard and he ran the show. He was a little bit more important.
And when everything boiled down, the ball's gonna be in his hands,
right? So and things went through went through Chauncey.
Yeah. So I get that. My thing about Coop though is like, when you put again, and this is like Ben Wallace, HBCU. Like I said, happy he got in, even though I don't think he should. But when you put a guy like that in, to me now you're starting to recognize like what Rodman did. Like that's undeniable. This man was having seasons with 18 rebounds a game type stuff. And in color when the TVs were showing in color. So like that Rodman, there's no question. But then when you put like Ben Wallace in, now you're starting to reward some of these other guys. And for all that Coop, I feel like he would have started on almost every team in the NBA.
But yeah, I mean maybe, but it's Coop. But Coop ain't dropping. Coop ain't getting buckets either, and like and my thing is, and that keeps me where like I was iffy about Ben and I'm iffy about Coop, is also that like as much as I love defensive basketball and I love all the other aspects of the game when it comes to the unsung parts of the game, rebounding and such, at the end of the day, it's about putting the ball in the hoop. But
Coop wasn't getting a lot of he could score, and I mean he had big games. Remember? I'm not saying that he couldn't,
but I'm saying like even if he was on other teams, maybe Coop's average goes up 3, maybe 4 points, but he's not. He was never going to be a 20 a game guy. That's just not the type of player he was. Unlike someone like you could say Byron Scott. If Byron Scott's not a Laker, Byron's getting 20 a game anywhere else he plays. And he's in the Hall of Fame, you know what I'm saying? And Byron's a multiple-time All-Star if he plays somewhere else.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So like that when I look at Coop, I'm like, okay, he's got the rings being on the Lake Show. He's got a DPOY, multiple defensive teams. But other than that, like he was 9 points a game. And as important as he was, his team also was stacked where like Ben won a title, but that team, as good as it was not filled with Hall of Famers. Like, and none on that team outside of Ben had been an All-Star recently. Like had been a couple seasons since she'd have been an All-Star. Like nobody was. This is not a team full of guys that are just like playing at their peak. No one's a Hall of Fame lock, and it's the argument that Zeke has when it comes to his teams. He's all people were like, oh, Zeke, your team this, and Zeke looks at him and like, hey, I'm the only one up here, right, up here with championships that doesn't have another top 50 teammate. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
So I hear you there. Unfortunately, unlike you. my logic gets thrown out the window because that's another Laker in the Hall of Fame, and he's one of my favorite players. And I've been cringing every time I see somebody wearing that jersey with the number 21 on it.
21 on it?
I feel like it should be retired. I feel like number 2 should be rutired.
Okay, but if they retire every great Laker, then you ain't got no numbers left.
It's not our fault.
You're going to have to have people wearing triple digits numbers.
The 90s, there's the 90s, the 80s. There's plenty of numbers available for those guys.
Well, none that are really going to sell, but all right, we're running. We're gonna fight now because we're running low on time because we love to talk hoops.
Running our mouth.
All right, so real quick, I'm gonna kind of flash back a little bit to what we were talking about with the Magical Negro. But did you see the Good Times trailer?
Yeah.
Give me in 30 seconds. Tell me what you feel about that Good Times trailer.
I can't do 30 seconds because I know too much.
Yes, you can. You can do that. You can do less than 30 seconds. I know I can.
I have internal information. Trailer was, terrible, but I already knew what was coming. I actually watched the first episode and then I watched the second episode.
Okay, let me ask you this: since you have seen it, since you got some pre-screening, is the trailer reflective of what the show is?
I mean, there's more to it. It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, I know it's a Netflix thing.
No, I mean it's already. The show's out.
Oh, it's released?
Yeah.
Well, I ain't been checking for it because I saw that trailer and I said no, no.
So just real quick, because I don't even care about spoilers for this one. But
I don't care about spoiling it. It's already spoiled. It came out. The container's spoiled.
It's it's not as unintelligent as it looks. It's just people weren't reading the room. They had Seth MacFarlane. Of course, the room's not read. But that's the thing, man. I don't think he was driving it because I actually, like I said, I know too much. I don't want the wrong people to hear.
Tell me what you know, because I need to take to task whoever's responsible for this hot mess.
Well, some of the people that were not the original, but they were like in the development stage with it, they aren't with it anymore.
Well, I heard old boy from Boondocks was in it, and he left.
Yeah, Carl.
Yeah,
he left. But again, I know too much, so I could have an offline conversation with you. But I know too much. But yeah, it's not as unintelligent as it looks. After the first episode, I was like, okay, this might have a little bit of promise, but just leaning in way too heavy on tropes and on stereotypes and like I like Family Guy. I like pretty much everything Seth has done, but it's not for everybody. Like I'm constantly being reminded that a lot of people don't understand satire. They don't understand sarcasm. They don't understand like hyperbole. I think there's been such a good, I guess you could call it a good job of dumbing down, people through the educational system. And so it's like people are looking at everything for face value and they don't see, the messages or any of that stuff. But again, with this one, because I told my friend, I had gave her like this whole dissertation. I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, this is not close to as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then I watched the second episode and it's like, there's some stuff that makes you laugh. There's some callbacks. Mm-hmm. I'm in the, like as I got older and started understanding stuff, I realized what the old show was. And you see the people who were driving it. You see who they took it from. When I was at Grambling, they did the play for like the pilot episode, which was a lot different. It was more dignified. It wasn't, slapstick.
It wasn't dynamite.
Yeah. So I'm, of the ilk where I say, the original Good Time show was terrible for us. I feel like it was, a little bit of social conditioning in there, right along.
Well, we know that a lot of the controversy, is obviously with the exit of John Amos, and the reasoning for that, and even I think, I wasn't alive then, but from what from what aunties and uncles and unks tell me, during the heyday of the show, there was controversy. Like, we loved it, but there were parts of it we were like, nah.
Like, why these fools?
Why why this? Why that? It was just it wasn't. It's beloved for the positive, but it was, from my understanding, it was always being held in check for the negative that it had as well.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, we were getting to see black people on TV. Like majority, like you didn't, like you could go episodes without seeing a white person. You know what I mean? So it was like that in itself made it something, so at that time.
And it was a full family unit, unlike most black television.
Right. So at that time, okay, it was making strides or whatever. But it's like, do we need that today? They could have taken what they, like the core, because what they did is basically James Evans is the main, like the father in this one. Is his grandfather.
Right.
I didn't get far enough to see. I'm assuming JJ is the guy's dad.
No, it's and it's one of the reasons why people are asking Bernadette Stanis about it, because her character is the one who had the kid.
Oh, wow. So that's not even consistent, because he's so in this one, the dad is kind of the clown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I can tell that from the trailer.
Yeah. JJ is more dialed back. Well, he's not JJ because they got different names, but the oldest boy is more dialed back. The girl is the conscious, revolutionary kind of one.
So she's Huey. Okay.
So yeah, so she would be like Michael adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
And then the baby,
and the baby's a drug dealer, which is, I was like, come on. When I saw that, I said, bruh.
I'll be, but check it out. Honestly, because again, this is like, it's the character. Honestly, what he stands for in the show, actually, I don't mind. Of course, it's a drug dealing baby. I feel like they stole that from a Dave Chappelle joke.
Oh, they clearly stole that from Dave. Yeah.
But he's a character that I'm like, I feel you. Like, it's a lot of common sense in that baby. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I that one, like, where I would say watch the Magical Negro junk, I would like, you don't even have to waste your time. I watched the second one and I was just like, I just don't want to be here.
Yeah,
I just don't want to be here.
Yeah, exactly. And and the reaction that Auntie Bernadette Stanis had, I'm right with her.
The most beautifulest woman in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her so much.
Me too. All right, real quick, because we're running low on time. ESPN greenlights documentary on the late great Stuart Scott. This is a must-watch, in my opinion. To you?
Yeah, like, I had some issues. I understand how important it was for him to be there, but like, and to, doing what he was doing, I thought a lot of that was corny at the time, because it seemed like Alfonso.
He seemed like a token for you, with booyah.
It seemed like Alfonso Ribeiro trying to act like a regular, hood dude or something. So, but I mean, think about the doors that got kicked down. You know what I'm saying? So,
I always viewed Stuart similar to. I think I resonate a lot to Stuart because I saw him as a brother in a predominantly white space who picked and chose when he would let a lot of his ethnicity shine through,
mm-hmm.
and he understood that, at the time he wasn't going to be able to do that consistently, but if he picked the right spot, he was going to be able to do it, and people, and the more he did it, the more the heads of ESPN were like, oh, people like this black stuff, this urban slang.
Do some more of that.
Yeah, keep doing that. Go ahead, Stuart. Keep saying that. Do you have any more? Do you have any more one-liners there?
And what I will say, because I have to say this, because that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, respectability politics, right? So the conditioning that we were like, when you're on TV, you're supposed to talk like this, and blah, 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 and you're supposed to be super clear and use perfect English and blah, blah, blah. And so that was something in me that, that like I feel like he's somebody that helped to kind of break things down. There's a couple of guys, they're not from Atlanta, they live in Atlanta. The Two Live Stews, you familiar?
Yeah, I know Two Live Stews.
Brian Stewart, Doug
yeah.
Stewart. Like, so their show, when their radio show came on in Atlanta, it shut everything down. Because they was them. They was us. And it like pushed them all the way to the point where they was on ESPN. They was on First Take.
Yeah, they were on First Take and everything. Yeah,
tapping on the stool and all that, and like super cool because Doug's a huge Lakers fan. So we had a Lakers group, and we used to do meetups, like all of that stuff. So, but they're super cool, and I feel like they took the torch from Stu, but they made it more. It felt more organic, more genuine. And because of them, I think that's why we get to see Kendrick Perkins and like a whole bunch of these dudes that we, probably never would have gotten.
Some of these dudes that we wouldn't have put on television?
Yes. Remember when Emmitt Smith was?
Oh my God, that was terrible. Did not belong on television. Absolutely not. All right, real quick. Jillian Albayati made history. First woman in Division II NCAA history to play softball and collegiate baseball on the same day. Came in as a reliever for the men's team and played for the women's team on the same day.
That's crazy. I think I saw that.
I saw it, and I didn't see many people making a big deal out of it, which I think is a shame, because I think for women's sports, this is a huge triumph to be able to compete at that level, to go in and throw a great inning for the men's team after playing a game for the women's team. Just to showing the progress of women's athletics. And even though, especially certain sports, the differences are still really vast, but in a game like baseball, where it's not as physical one-on-one, against each other, and it's more equipment based, that gap lessens. So for Jillian to be able to come out there and perform well for both teams, I think is really a big boon for women's sports.
Yeah, that's and it's the position, right? If you tell me she's playing, like right field or left field or something, that's different than saying you're going up there pitching.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna check it. I'm not all the way up on it, but I'm gonna check it out because
there's a link in the show notes where they're talking to her. They show some of the clips of it. Check it out. A very, very cool moment. And continuing with women, last quick hit here. The Charlotte Hornets are set to interview Lindsey Harding for head coach. For those who don't know, Lindsey is currently a G League coach. Yep. Does Lindsey have a legit shot in your mind at landing the job and making history?
Man, I don't know if this is just a thing. I mean, first of all praise to the GOAT, but it's a terrible organization. So I got to get that out the way. But I don't know what they would stand to gain, that organization, what they would stand to gain by this type of publicity stunt. They're in the Bible Belt, like these people don't care about black women anyway. So I feel like bringing her in means that there is like a legitimate chance. But
I mean, what they would stand to gain is the publicity and making history. They're not close to winning.
yeah,
They're not about to make the playoffs. So I mean,
and their roster, they already started overhauling their roster.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I think if you're going to give a woman a chance at being a head coach in the NBA, the Hornets are probably the best opportunity to do so because they're the expectations are extremely low. No one's
They're young. They're very young.
They're very young. The expectations are very low. No one's expecting you to come in and turn things around instantly. This isn't a team that needs you to get them over the hump to compete for the playoffs or compete for a championship. You're starting at the bottom. And then they're willing to make to roster changes that should be in line with your philosophy as a head coach. So you have a greater chance of getting the type of players that you want, that you believe you can be successful with, than you would in most other situations right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for Lindsey, it's the best opportunity. The area in North Carolina, Charlotte, I mean, I think the city will support her. I think it may help, attendance a little bit, and especially initially, the eyes will be on it. But I think it'll be relatively a lower pressure situation and a legit chance for her to, see what she can do, at that level.
See, and everything you're saying is great. I'm with it. My only thing is, like, I'm still traumatized because we're just getting to the point where black coaches aren't getting all the garbage jobs.
Yeah.
Right. So like bringing her in, because I'm looking in the future, right? Like the short-term future, bringing her into an unstable organization with young players that probably their best player can't stay healthy. I think Brandon Miller has a chance to, become the guy on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Bridges probably going to be gone.
Probably going to be in jail. Yep.
Probably don't want him around women anyway.
Just think of that same thing.
So, but I mean, the thing is, she goes there and wins 7 games next year, and then it's like, it could end up being like 2 steps back. That's like if it was an organization like, say, San Antonio, which I know Pop probably ain't ever going to leave, but
no, I think Pop is going to hand it to Becky. And
right. But that, like, when you do that, you have like an established, like, at least your front office is good, and
because he's not leaving that role. He's still going to be the president of basketball operations.
Right. So you'll have the consistency and all the good things that come with it. Whereas, like, you send her to the junkyard, man, like, it could be one and done. I feel like some of them boys ain't the most professional.
Oh no, they're not. NBA players have one thing that's a negative is that NBA players tend to have an issue with coaches who didn't play. There's a problem like Flip Saunders had with a lot of teams. Dude that was coach, I forget his name. He used to coach in Missouri. Quinn Snyder had players be like, oh, you never played in the league, and obviously for women that's obviously an automatic negative against them with people who have that attitude. I don't know if just because of the respect for women that I was brought up to have, but personally, if you know the game, you knew the game.
Yeah.
And if you were able to teach the game, you can teach the game. Like to me, that doesn't matter. Like, are there nuances of the NBA game that having a former NBA player coach helps? Sure. However, it's not some of the stuff that doesn't matter. Like Phil Jackson playing in the 70s to coaching in the 90s. You know,
Right.
that's not exactly a
Bo-
one-to-one transference.
Bolster didn't play.
Yeah, Spo didn't play.
Like,
You know, the Van Gundys didn't play. Like,
so
it's not.
Yeah.
You know.
That part doesn't. Like I said, my whole thing is just like, if she takes the job and it's just a cluster bomb, you know, how does that you know?
But you don't want it to negatively impact,
right? Because you know what's going to happen with the misogynists. Like with
and unfortunately that's going to happen anyway. Yeah. It's just,
but no, you know, oh look, you can't. Well, listen, and you could have put any coach in this situation.
I mean, you could. I mean, as much as I respect Monty Williams, you could have put, you know, you can put one of my daughters there, and we could have won 14 games.
I could win more games.
I would have. You know what? I really don't say it. I think I would have coached more than 14 wins out of my Detroit Pistons. I'm
not one of those guys that thinks that I'm smarter than these coaches or anything.
No, I'm not smarter than Monty Williams. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, I think I could have gotten more than 14 games out of this team.
I hate that y'all gave him so much money, man. Because, like, when you started hearing the stuff about what happened with him and DeAndre Ayton, it was like writing on the wall. It's just like,
well, let's see, but Ayton's a problem in Portland too.
Yeah, but not to say he's not, but I mean, we've seen it over and over again. Like, these guys, you know, you get with the right coach, and that coach will make you hate basketball or make you not even want to, like, you let me get my check. I'm gonna come do whatever I'm supposed to do. Like, they tried to make him, like, he was set up to be like a really, really good center.
Yeah.
And they turned his ass into a rim runner. You know, it's like he had a mid-range, he had a little post, you know, stuff to him. Next thing you know, he's, you know, sitting in the dunker spot. Like, what are we doing?
However, we can't blame that all on Monty because he's not the one who made the trade to get CP3 that changed their entire style of play. Yeah, he did what he had to do with the team that he had. And granted, they should have won the championship that year.
Well, yeah, but you know, Chris Paul is not going to stay healthy.
I mean,
I do know
the title.
I do know somebody that played for her this year.
Yeah.
If I get him on the horn, I would like to ask him what his opinion is of her. These younger boys, they're not as grizzled. They're not, you know, they're growing up in an era where some of, you know, like the misogyny, some of the stuff doesn't exist.
They're not as anti-woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So, you know, I would hope the best for her. You know, because I would love to see it. But I just hate that's the organization.
Well, I mean, yeah, I hear you, and I don't want it to be a setback because, like, I don't want it to be like a Ty Willingham thing at Notre Dame, like where you know, hey, we finally brought in somebody black, but you know, we're going to fire him, and we're not going to keep him for his whole contract like we did with all the white coaches. We're going to fire him, and we're going to get rid of him now. Right. Like, I don't want that type of situation for her. But if she gets a 3-year deal and she stays for 3 years and they don't win more than 25 games because the team's not good, you know, I don't think the detriment, it would be that detrimental to her or to women. It's going to be like, look, we knew it was a bad situation. She came, she did her best. You know, here are the positives. You know, and you know, she continued to continue her career. And I think because having that experience would open the door for her to have opportunities elsewhere, because she's not coming into a system like you said with the potential of Becky Hammond going to the Spurs once Pop decides to hang it up. That is already set. The plan's already made. The line of succession's already there. And Pop, even if Pop steps away from the coaching bench, he's not stepping away from the organization. So, you know, I think for her, for Lindsey to break the door down to be the first head coach, I think would be preferable in my opinion. I would prefer that and see what, you know, she's able to do there. But
I just wonder if they could get a GM or something, man.
I don't know.
Brutal.
They're a mess. They really are. All right. We have time. We're gonna skip the con talk today because the con's not till August and we got more time. We can do another run. But real quick on it, in the future episode, we will talk about the Atlantic Comic Con that Greg is a part of. It's coming soon to Kickstarter. It will be in Norfolk, Virginia, August 17th and 18th. And in the very near future, G will talk to us about his involvement, how he came to be involved in the stuff that he's doing behind the scenes in preparation for this con. But our primary topic, while I still have time before next guest comes on, is X-Men 97, episodes 1 through 5. Be warned, you are now in a spoiler zone, danger zone, Kenny Loggins time. It's not safe no more. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if you're behind, do not listen beyond this part. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the flip side. Because from this point out, we spitting fire.
And we're not talking about 6, right?
No, we're just doing 1 through 5.
Okay,
1 through 5. So let's start episodes 1 and 2, dropped at the same time. How did you feel coming off of episodes 1 and 2?
I felt like I was ready to take over the world. They did certain things, so I get it. Wolverine is, Wolverine, but I feel like, over time, Scott has turned into a chump. And I remember when Cyclops was the leader of the X-Men.
That's right.
He was like the dude, you know what I'm saying? So that felt good that they, it looks like they went out of their way to redeem him. It looks like they went out of their way to say, this is not a Wolverine show. This is an X-Men show.
Thank God.
Yeah. And I love Wolverine.
Me too.
I just love the X-Men, So,
but that's the thing. It's an X-Men show. It's not a Wolverine show.
Right. I loved it. Magneto is my favorite. He's my favorite villain. I don't even think he's a villain, but he's always been my favorite villain since. Remember, what was it? Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Remember that cartoon? So, yeah. So, I like the writing. The voice acting is good. A lot of people won't come to terms with the fact that the old show, it was dope when it was there and everything, but when you try to rewatch it, it's like, And there's stuff you can watch from that time that doesn't make you feel like, they was just doing stuff.
I don't feel. There's only one thing about the original that makes me kind of feel that way, and that is just the very 90s kid-friendly vernacular. So because because they can't cuss, and Wolverine's, and when that reads the books, no Wolverine be cussing, saying egg sucking this or whatever, or Cyclops' extremely dated use of not, which I thought was fun to have that little callback in episode 1. That was well played. That's the only part really about the original that to me just sticks out like a sore thumb, is just that how dated and how heavy they leaned into what was popular and how kids talked at that time.
Yeah.
But the stories and stuff, to me, still from the original, still hold up. I have to agree with you with 97. Like, I've always been a Scott Summers fan. From the 80s when Scott was cool, in the 90s and Scott all of a sudden wasn't cool, and then like Scott's a cop, Scott's this.
He's like, now he's a full out. They turned that man into a douche.
Yeah, I love James Marsden as an actor, but they did him, James Marsden and Scott Summers, no favors in the X-Men movies. Yeah. So there was a lot of hate towards Scott Summers, and then even in the books, like people were debating during, A versus X. Is Scott right? Was Scott wrong? And there was a lot of anti-Scott Summers, vitriol going on. I gotta say, I don't know what Bo DeMaio did. And for those listening who don't know, Bo DeMaio was the showrunner and executive producer behind X-Men 97 and had completed work on season 1 and 2. He was fired before the March 20th premiere. I don't know what he did, but if it wasn't that bad, aim to bring him back. Because Bo has what he has done as the showrunner of this show, the attention to detail, the respectful callbacks to the original,
Mm-hmm.
the depth of story, and what he is, and what I think is so beautiful about how he is doing the stories is it's how I would personally do the stories, because I would write them for people who know the product, who know these characters. So he doesn't have to waste time building up the relationship between Forge and Storm, between Remy and Rogue, between the X-Men and Magneto. Because if you're coming to watch the show, you should already know. So
if you don't, that's cool, because I agree with you there, but I also agree that, like, tell a good story. So if this is your jump off point, you can still, it's like, it's dope. Like, if this was the first thing you ever saw from the X-Men, it would be dope. So
and for some people who didn't see it and hadn't watched the movies because of mixed reviews or whatever, this is the first thing they're seeing from the X-Men. And we talked about Scott. Like, I've never seen a more accurate depiction of Scott Summers' combat from comics to anything, because in the comics he's always got the hand to the head because he's always pressing the button because he's got to control how much of the visor is being opened or not. Like, that's constantly how Scott fights. He's always has his hand up, and you never saw that really in the movies or the other show. It was always him just opening his eyes bigger. But here we see that pretty much that one-arm fighting style he has to do, and it looked so freaking good. The landing? Then this. First of all, I was like, why is the Blackbird getting blown up so quick? Like, well, you're really making this plane seem like it ain't nothing,
right?
And then he's like, and I think I've seen this in so many X-Men comics. Like, I'm expecting him to be like, start barking orders, flyers, get these people, who can land safely and not be hurt. Because like it happened in the Phoenix Saga, he's like, like Colossus, armor up and fall. You're not going to be hurt. You grab that person. You grab that person. But he's like, great job. See you on the ground. I'm like, see you on the ground. And then, and that's cool. And then he opens up that visor and just freaking Dragon Ball Z's the mess out of the ground, and does a 3-point superhero stance landing. And then to me, my X-Men, that was dope.
Look, I'm watching it at 3 a.m, right? Screaming all loud, not worried about waking people up. I'm like, yeah.
I was like, yo, that's my boy. That's my dude. Because look, as much as they talk about, and incorrectly, because I've never equated, and they weren't supposed to, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King are not Magneto and Professor X. They never were. However, if anyone's close to Malcolm X, for the people, everything for the people, respect us, don't mess with us, we won't mess with you, family values, clean cut, educated. If anyone's Malcolm X, it's Scott Summers.
I mean, that's a valid point.
And I was sick of them doing my boy dirty, and they got it right. And even though like people are making a big deal about Morph and the officially like being non-binary, I could not care less about that, in the aspect of the fact that Morph is a shapeshifter, and ever since Morph's powers, like being active, if you shapeshift, in your mind, you're going to not know what you are.
Right.
Whether it's a firm identification as non-binary, or you just have gender dysmorphia and you're confused and you're just not sure how you want to identify. that power set, that it makes sense that
It makes perfect
it makes
sense.
perfect sense. So I couldn't care about that change because that makes sense. That's something that Morph has to deal with, whether Morph wants to identify as whatever. But Morph, one being brought back into the team, and then and then again, if Bo didn't do nothing that bad, just bring him back. Because Morph gives us, has been giving us these shots of other mutants we want to see, but we don't have the time to see.
Right.
He gave us the Archangel Flash, Psylocke, like so many. He's just like, hey, this person's here, this person exists because I turned into him. Blob, like, come on, like, and then I don't remember Morph's power set being this powerful. Not only can he change the shape, but he mimics their powers too. How is Morph not that dude? How is Morph not wrecking shop on everybody if he can replicate their powers on top of their form? So, like, the use of Morph has been fantastic. The voice acting is amazing. Unfortunately, so many of the original voice actors died, but the ones that they could bring back are dope. And obviously, the OG voice of Storm being there. Costumes, the attention to detail. Scott's costume, Storm's costume, Magneto with the late 80s Big M joint that nobody liked, but hey, only Magneto can make it look fly. Like
the long hair.
The long hair, like, you know, the attention to detail is fantastic. It's just, I can't, the first 2 episodes just completely blew me away. And then what they did in that truncated hat, in that 50 minutes of content, what they showed you from there to Executioner shooting at Magneto and Storm getting hit and losing the powers, like, so much, like 2 years of comics were shown in that 1 hour span. You know what I'm saying? But it was clean. It made sense. It flowed. It was great.
It didn't feel like they jumbled it up.
Yeah, it didn't feel like they time skipped a lot and stuff. It flowed amazingly. You even had time to make fun of, you know, Gene's cooking and, you know, freaking Remy with the beignets and they all hooping and it's just
it's so good. Like, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm like, when I'm done with the season, because I watched 6 already.
Me too.
When I'm done with the season, I'm just gonna like blank out some time, tell everybody to leave me alone, and I'm just gonna watch it all
through.
Because it's good stuff, man.
And you know, I've been slowly getting back on this kick. People, buy physical media. When this is out on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever,
absolutely
buy it.
Absolutely.
Buy it. This is something you don't want to leave to streaming. This is something you don't want to leave to be edited for whatever reason. Buy this thing when it comes out. This is something you got to buy. The last thing before we go on to episode 3, Madeline Pryor. Fam, I did not see them going with the Madeline Pryor story at all.
Uh-oh.
I'm still here. You're good.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I like when whatchamacallit, when Jean comes to the door and I'm like, wait, because it's like they already gave me enough, man. You know, I'm looking at the TV. I'm watching it on my PlayStation. You know, hit the little thing so I can see how much time I got left. It's like, you've already done enough. Y'all did good. Y'all. And then they dropped that, and I'm like, whoa, you mean I gotta wait another week? I gotta wait till next week for this? So that was cool. My first thought was maybe it was why is my brain freezing? Shapeshifter lady.
Oh, Mystique,
yeah. I was like, maybe is that some janky stuff? But then I started putting, you know, of course they got the baby, all that kind of stuff. So now it's all coming to me. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, like they're weaving so well. It's only gonna be like 10 episodes, right?
10 episodes, yes.
That's trash, man. I made a post. All right, maybe I shared it with somebody. I was like, I'm sick of this show already. Like, after episode 6, I was like, I need to be able to binge it. Like,
No, because I mean, and they playing with my feelings, and it's not just nostalgia. They are playing with my feelings, and with X-Men storyline execution being 100% on par. Like, and then moving right into the bridging from with Madeline Pryor. Then we get to see her as the Goblin Queen. Like, Magneto taking over the school. We see the Goblin Queen. We see Sinister. Like, and it's just like, I know it's gotta have people thinking like, when did Madeline and Jean get switched? Right. It's even got to have you thinking, did they get switched in the original series, or did they get switched in between the original series and this? Like,
I'm gonna watch those too now, because I need all the answers.
Yes. And then again, that's why I'm going to say it for a third time. If what Bo did wasn't that bad, bring that man back, because showrunners are so vital right now to keeping consistent direction and flow for stories. We saw what happened when the showrunner loses interest or isn't doing their thing with Game of Thrones. It went from great to ending terribly. We've seen what happened with other shows when the showrunners are changing. Even with like The Mandalorian, which I enjoy, when the directors keep varying because you don't have a showrunner distinctly with a plan, it gets muddled. And we can't have that, because this is too good for us to have to deal with that. Like, bruh. I mean, episode 3. I can't even forgot. Bobby DaCosta, seeing Bobby DaCosta, and unlike what they did with that New Mutants movie, Bobby's black. They made sure that black Hispanic is black.
He brownish.
He's biracial, but he's black.
Yeah.
He's a biracial, Brazilian. But they didn't make him, look light like they did in the movie. Like he looks like what he is. Yeah. And Jubilee. I've always loved Jubilee, and people are like, "Oh, I like Jubilee now." I always liked Jubilee, but they made Jubilee very, a little bit more grown, but still very fun out there doing her thing. I love how they did that. Like everybody's character hits on their character tones perfectly. It's like, I mean, I don't know how in my greatest use of my imaginative powers, could not have done as good of a job as Bo and the rest of that team did with this so far. It is beyond fantastic. Bishop, give him putting props on the homie Bishop. Like,
cut the Jerry curl.
Yeah. And I'm sure Method Man's like, yes, now I definitely get to play him. He ain't got the long hair no more.
Did you see the memes that going around? And like, he said he wanted to play him, so they put him.
Ain't got that drip going on no more.
Right.
Like,
and he looks kind of like Meth too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. They definitely started to make him look more like Meth too. They already looked alike to begin with, but episode 3 was fantastic. And just the emotions of the loss of Professor X, the reconciling with Magneto coming in, the conflict there, discovering the clone switch. It's like, and then we come in, going fast forward a bit, but the TV interview that Scott's doing, and then he wigs out on him, and it's like, you know what? We better than you.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is. And I'm sick and tired of y'all nonsense. And people, and I know initially a lot of people were like, well, why would he do that? Well, the man lost his child. He discovered his wife is a clone of his wife. His mentor has been gone for a year, presumed dead or they know he's in space, but the mentor's been gone for a year. Wolverine's still a pain in your butt. Everyone still hates me.
Magneto's the leader.
Sentinels, burden of being the leader, and now we've got, new mutants and stuff around. Like, the guy's a little stressed.
Right.
The guy's a little on edge. With just.
And you worried about like me lying about some, frivolous stuff. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, you're mad because I'm not going to say like everything is all hunky dory. Like, give me a break. Real quick as we go through, see episode 4, the Motendo half, a lot of fun. When I saw it said Motendo, I was like, "Are you like this? What they've thrown at us so fast?" I was like, "Wow, we're getting Mojo already!" Like, and then the callbacks to the X-Men arcade game, that her and Bobby going through, as character. Oh, that was so dope.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was dope. And it was cute. Like, it was an unexpected thing to have the 2 stories in one episode, because when they did that in the later seasons of the original, it wasn't really good, you know. But here, this worked as even if you looked at it as filler, it's important for what the new mutants eventually will be in the X-Men story, to have some connection between Jubilee, Bobby, New Mutants, the Mojo verse. Like, that's such a big part of X-Men. Like, unexpected, and still didn't take away from the overarching story that we're being shown here. Like, and then what was I thinking? Oh, and then that Life Death with Forge and Storm and their relationship, like, and a lot of people didn't even know that Storm and Forge had a thing going on, that's new to them. And then episode 5, fam.
They're calling it the Red Wedding.
It is the Red Wedding. It's Disney's Red Wedding. That's the best description. Whoever thought of that initially, hats off to you, because that's exactly what it was. I did not see that coming. I knew it was going to get bad. I didn't expect the Tri-Sentinel. I never thought I would ever see the Tri-Sentinel on a movie, TV, nothing. The Tri-Sentinel, bruh. Like, I think I love this so much because you can tell that Bo and the people writing and working on it love these books. Yeah. They love comics.
100% turnaround from Bryan Singer.
Yeah, who probably couldn't be bothered to crack open a page of X-Men.
That was his thing. He told the actors, he was like,
"Oh, he said, don't read." Yeah, I remember that.
Something new here.
Yeah, they said that. I remember. I think Rebecca Romaine was like, "Yeah, he told us not to read the comic books," and I was like, "Yup, okay, I'm done."
And then I think Hugh Jackman was like, "Whatever." Hugh Jackman was like, "Whatever, I'm doing it anyway." So
part of the reason why he did so well.
Yeah.
Because this is like, I can't even call it a love letter. This is like a love epic, like the love Odyssey or the love Iliad. Like, this is just,
And then I've had some, like, me and my brother, we got into it, not friendly, because he was like, I don't like it, because he watched like the first 2. And I was like, I don't really care. Get out. Find somewhere else to be, man. Like, but he was like super young. What was he? Maybe, well, not super young, but probably like 12, 13 or whatever when it was out. So that age. They say like when you're 12, 13 years old, whatever it was hot then is always
hot to you.
Your thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was like, it's not bad. Like, I think episode 3, it was like episodes 1 and 2 were so good to me. I think 3 was kind of, it wasn't bad, but it just, it didn't keep up that same but the first two were so good, you know.
Well,
it wasn't
the energy had to go down.
like
You can't keep working at that high of a pitch, you know.
Perfect. Yeah. Like, so they're like roller coastering.
Yeah.
I remember like The Walking Dead, like early on, especially how they were like that. Like the jump, and I know we're not gonna talk about 6, but like how, you know, you end 5 and you're like, man, y'all got some explaining to do. And then they come back in the next episode and it's like, whatever. Look at this.
Yep.
But then that is like, I'm like, screaming again. So, you know, it's like, you know, shifting and weaving. I love it because it's like you're just so engaged at the end of the show. It's like, man, where that next one at?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, start slacking. I need my next dose. Hit me.
It was funny. One of my boys, because because I was up. So, and I ain't gonna lie, this one, after episode 5, I was like, I don't even know if I want to watch this and then try to go to sleep because I might be like heated up.
Right. You might be like, I ain't gonna be able to sleep after this.
Yeah, but my boy, like, he's like at 3:35. He's like, man, we only got 4 episodes left. Posted it. So yeah, man, it's they're doing well. I love it, and I love that they're digging in. Like, I've had, I got so many chats going, text threads going, where that's all we're talking about. But I love that, they love you can just tell when somebody really, really loves the comics. Like, even choosing to kind of, even though the art is different, but kind of stay in that mode.
Yep.
Of that same style.
It's like new retro.
Yeah, that's like love, man.
It is. It's the best way to put it. Like, it's a ballad, a love. Like, it's just, and I think that's one reason why I love it, because you can tell the people working on it, at least, the showrunner, but obviously the other writers and such, they love X-Men. Like, because you can't do it this type of justice if you don't love it. The attention, you can't get this good amount of attention to detail if you don't love the source material.
Right.
And you talk about screaming, even though I saw it in the trailer, when Gambit in episode 1 jumps on Wolverine's back and glows up them claws, I was like,
come on, man. Come on. Not. People were like, I didn't even know this was a thing.
And I'm like, oh my God, Wolverine's arms are gonna blow up. I'm like, so what? He's gonna heal in a matter of like minutes. Like, he don't care. Right. It's about taking out the Sentinel. He don't care.
How they were making sure to get, like, Storm got her shine. I love, like, Rogue has always been one of my favorite characters. It's such a tragic character,
Yes.
And for her to be that powerful. And oh my God, man, the line, like, when she we're allowed to spoil 5, right?
Yeah, we're spoiling 5, yeah.
Because we've been spoiling the hell out of stuff.
Yeah.
I just make sure. Like that, because earlier, so man, when she told Gambit, she said, you light up every, room or you
light up everything you touch but me. Yeah.
Except for me. That was deep in itself, right?
Yep.
And then at the end, when she's like, I can't feel
you.
I was like, man, y'all gave me, no, I'm screaming.
Yo, I was like, I was near tears. I ain't gonna front. Because Gambit's my boy. I love Gambit. I love Rogue. I love the relationship they have. And especially for Gambit, because, like, people just, a lot of times people look at Gambit and like, oh, he's a flirty guy from Louisiana. He just likes to chase women. Gambit's a thief who gets what he wants. So not only is Rogue, it's tragic. Their tragicness is so tragic both ways. Because most people just focus on Rogue and the fact that she can't touch anybody. She's got all the power and she can't be touched. It's not only that she can't be touched by the guy who gets everything he wants.
Right.
And she's that one thing that he wants that he can't have. And she wants to be touched and touched by him, but he can't. It's just, it's so good. And him glowing up the motorcycle and knocking her out the way, like, Gambit was always a real one. He was always a G. But my man went out straight OG Blaze of Glory and was like, the name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. It was like, and upon my second and then third rewatch, like you could tell something was up. Like if you were really paying attention, like they gave you that feeling like, man, something bad is gonna happen. But you're still like, nah. Now I do have a theory, which is the basic theory. But I think Cable's gonna come fix all of that stuff. But because like when he comes and he's like, "Mom, not again," you know what I'm saying? That means he's already been tinkering, trying, So
well, yeah, because last thing we'll say here is when Cable shows up, it's not about to get bad. It's already really bad.
Yeah.
If Cable shows, if you see Cable, like if somehow you ever see Cable in real life, just be scared because it's really bad.
Get under the table, hide, run, scream, try to figure out what you got to do to fix something because it's bad if he's showing up. He's always trying to fix the worst of the worst. And if Cable shows, life ain't good. And especially, and I knew something bad was happening because it's Genosha. I just didn't expect it to happen from jump. I was expecting there to be, that lull of peace and good. Yeah. Nah, we ain't getting no lulls of peace and good. We ain't getting that. Right.
I tell you, all I can say is, like Gambit said, remember the name, remember it. Because you ain't never, if you're watching this, and even if you're not a comic book fan, anybody, if you just watch the story, you've got to remember it's fantastic. Like these episodes are bangers, period.
Yeah.
And we're just a little over halfway in, and I can't. The last half, shoo.
And they said it after 5. Somebody came out and said, "We're just getting started." I'm like, man, you low down, and it's got that there's a little bit of a soap opera kind of feel to it,
Oh yeah,
it's like dramatic in its spaces. But the X-Men have always been. It's not been just about powers and fighting. It's always been like a lot of interpersonal dealings, relationship type stuff. So, man, it's like, okay, we got 4 weeks, and then like they really should already be finishing up the second season, so they can drop like in a couple of months.
Couple of months, man. They can drop that. They can just, I don't know. I'll pay for early release. Just give it to me.
Doesn't make any sense to be holding off on that stuff, no.
Especially something this good. Like this good, I will gladly pay extra this good. And also, if Disney's smart, I'll take I'll take 0.5% cut of the money you make if you do this. Disney, understand this. This will make sense if you decide to let people watch this in the theater, because I will go. I will go to the theater to watch this.
How long would it be overall? Like 300 minutes?
Something like that. But it doesn't even have to be a one shot. I'll go in 2 halves. But
first half, second half.
Yeah, yep. I'll go in halves. But put this in the theater. You can just do 1 through 5 as one, and then 5 through 10 as the other. Trust me, I'll be in that theater.
I remember they did that for a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones.
And they did that for
and I was there.
They did it for the Jesus show. What's it called? The Chosen. They've been showing that in theaters. Like
yeah.
Put X-Men 97 in the theater. I will be there.
Yeah. That's easy.
That's easy money. I will be there. All right, y'all. This is gonna conclude the show. We usually end on something fun, little fantasy put together. But G's mind enough. We'll save that for the next time. I've got another guest itching, waiting to also talk some MCU and some Marvel. And so out of respect to her time and G's time, we are going to wrap this episode up. G, real quick, for those listening who may not have heard your previous episodes, let them know where they can find you out on the internet.
Greg Burnham on the Facebook, Greg_Burnham7 on IG. But if you're searching, you should be able to find me. I'm a little bit Googleable. Also, if you're interested in comic conventions, where me and my boy we're throwing independently, we're throwing this convention in Norfolk, Virginia. We got like some a really cool list. Really cool list. And we're at Atlantic Comic Con. That's Atlantic like the ocean. And there's going to be 2 C's and then 2 more C's. But find us. We got an IG page. We got a Facebook page. We may be launching a Kickstarter tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, I'm telling people, like, we're not doing the Kickstarter. Like, if this, like, we need this money to make it happen. It's gonna happen. The Kickstarter is just a way to get more eyes on it. So you'll be able to get like early bird passes. You'll be able to get merch. We have a lot of people that are interested, but like in supporting, but they might not be able to come out. So you can donate. You can also, you can get like merch. So if you want to get like, shirt, posters, we're going to have a lot of con exclusive stuff. So yeah. So follow us and you can go to the page. You can, even if you just find Atlantic Comic Con on Kickstarter.
And listener, you can find it. You'll be able to find it. I will. In the show notes. Well, I'll have a link for the Atlantic Comic Con's Kickstarter and Facebook page, so you can find it. Give it a follow. Yeah. Check it out. Check out the lineup that Darren and G have gotten. It's fantastic. It's making me wish. It's making me look at my calendar to see if I can be in Norfolk that weekend. Just as a fan, not even as a podcaster or anything like that, just as a fan wanting to be there amongst everybody else. And speaking of fans, we can't thank you enough, fans, for continuing to listen, download the show, share the show. Please continue to do that. It makes all the difference in the world for this show. Please review it on your app of choice. We're on Apple, Spotify, CastBox, others. And if you can't find us, let us know at jeeknation@gmail.com or message us on Facebook at Jeek Nation. Always love and thanks, appreciation for the time to my brother G. And until next time, peace.
Ready to make an entrance, so backward cut.
Come on, clap for me.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
This is DJ What, and you're listening to the original Jeek Podcast.